I would like to invite our guests up to the front, please. We have special mics for each one of you. So we can start with Dr. Juliet Agocha. Could you start us off? Make your 5 minutes.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Thank you so much to all our wonderful residents for coming. I truly appreciate your time, and I thank you for making that time for you to be here today, not just to witness this debate, but actually to hear the truth, the things that matters to us here in our community. So I am so grateful to see you all. My name is Dr. Juliet Agocha. And I'm going to read from here because I want to cover all my introduction briefly in the space that was given to me. I am Dr. Juliet Agocha, and I'm running for Prince George's County Council for District 4. When I say District 4, I say District 4 with so much smile on my face, because this place is not just a community. District 4 is a home. I am a mother of 3 wonderful children. I have a husband. And I also have my technology business here in Prince George's County. So when I say this place is personal, I mean that. I know what instability means, and I know what our residents are crying for. And tonight we're going to hear more about that, because District 4 residents are not asking for too much. But briefly about myself is, I have been living here with my wonderful husband and my family for 18 years. Investing here, my children go to Prince George's County schools. And my last child is actually 4 years old. So I have a long time to stay here. I was homeless for 12 months. I was living in Laurel, then situation happened. I became homeless for 12 good months of my life in Laurel. I went from McDonald's to McDonald's. And I went to Walmart. Those places became a second home for me. I was asking, begging people for dollars to buy something to eat. I went to that homelessness, and when I overcame that, but before I did, it taught me a lot of lessons. I understand what it means to fight for housing, safety, opportunity for families. And that's why I'm running for this seat. I am here today with over 10 years of governance leadership. I have led critical infrastructures. I have worked on policies and initiatives. And I know how to hold leaders accountable. I hold a bachelor's degree in information technology. The moment I got out of the street, I went to Prince George's County Community College. I took my first class for my associate degree in information technology. From that one class led to bachelor's degree in information technology. But I did not stop there. I went for my master's degree, and I got my cybersecurity. But there was something else. There was something else missing. I went ahead and got my PhD in leadership. So when I'm saying I have lived experience, and when I say I have governance experience, I meant every word. And with my solid experience and my solid skills in IT, I want anyone to verify any information I'm giving to you today, because I work with informed data. That is why my priorities are clear. To be a voice for mothers working 2 jobs who still wonder if their children are getting the education they deserve. I am running so that families that are still struggling to make ends meet, I will be answerable to them. The homeowners who ask why they pay so much but still get less. The small business owners who is trying to grow, but navigating Prince George's County system is never designed for them. I'm not running to hold a seat.
That's right.
I'm running to make county government work for you. District 4 is not looking for theatrics or someone to simply occupy a seat. With a population of approximately 109,912 residents and a 74.6% home ownership rate, our community is looking for a leader who understands the struggle of everyday people, who knows what it means to work hard, to sacrifice, and to dream for something better. I am that leader, and I am ready to serve you, and I am ready for you to hold me accountable, and I am ready to deliver measurable result for the resident of District 4. Thank you.
I guess I'm next. Good evening. Good evening. Is it on? Is it on? We're on?
Yeah, sure.
It's on? Can you hear me? All right, perfect. So let me start over. I guess I'm next. All right. Euniescha Davis, and I am running for County Council District 4. I thank you for allowing me the opportunity to be here. Thank you for being here and wanting to listen to my responses tonight. I am an executive leader with more than 15 years of experience across government, nonprofit, and for-profit industry. My current position, I am the National Director for AARP Foundation, and I oversee a $110 million workforce program for 55+ seniors. I help them get back to work. Unfortunately, at that age, 55 and 65, they have to go back to work to cover the gap, whether that's dealing with everyday household expenses. And I run that program nationally to include Puerto Rico. And so I see a different perspective every time I go out to a site, to the world. Prior to me joining AARP, and I've only been there 7 to 8 months, so prior to that, I spent 6.5 years as the director for the Office of Community Relations for Prince George's County government. I was appointed by then County Executive Angela Brooks, now Senator Brooks. In that position, I provided service through 311. How many people know 311? All right, no apples or tomatoes thrown, because I'm gonna tell you the system was improved. But I ran community relations for almost 1 million people, right? And that data, even with that, when the census, when we took the last census, it was the first time that Prince George's County reached 71% completion in a census, and that was done under my leadership. But back to 311, one of the platforms that County Executive Brooks ran on at that time was to improve 311. I started December 3rd, 2018. At that time, wait times were 5 to 6 minutes for someone to answer the phone, to answer you. By March of 2019, 3 months into my tenure, I reduced that call wait time to 30 seconds. 30 seconds. And I would say, as my operators, you're welcome, on a good day, they're 7 to 15 seconds. We beat industry standard. 311 went on to become a model for national 311 centers, and also an award-winning program down to the community program of 311 on the go. Others emulate our performance, our success. So very proud of that. And again, running community relations for almost 1 million people, because I believe in meeting people where you are, not having you necessarily come to government. Also during the COVID pandemic, I made sure that seniors in the most vulnerable populations received their COVID-19 shots. I took a van from the health department. I'm gonna say repurposed the van. It was sitting in the parking lot. So I said, we're gonna take that van and we're gonna put it in the community, and we're gonna get seniors their shots. So I did that throughout the entire Prince George's County. And so again, it was really about access. And so I'm running because District 4 is changing. I'm really a small town girl from Chester, Pennsylvania, born and raised there by a single mother who believed that education was my way out. She tried to provide every opportunity for me to succeed. I came here to Baltimore. Well, actually, I went to IUP, and I do also have a degree in computer science. So I don't say that too much. I know how to program. Back then it was COBOL, C++, all of that. But what I got from is I wanted the user to have a nice experience. Then I went on to University of Baltimore, where I got my master's in communications design, and then I went on to get a second master's in nonprofit management. And so I am running on my record and on my experience of what I have done for the residents of Prince George's County. I am a mother. I'm your neighbor, right? I have a 14-year-old that's about to go to high school, so please pray for me, okay? All right, but what I understand is that I want him to have the best education. I also want all students to have the best education, best options. I want resources in classrooms for teachers, for students. I don't want my child going to school when it's cold, that the heat's not working, and when it's hot, the air isn't working. I want safe environments for our teachers and for our students. I also want seniors to be able to age gracefully in place, have more connected communities, be able to provide affordable transportation methods for our seniors to and from doctor appointments. I have a 93-year-old grandmother, right? And she is still well and energetic, but she sometimes needs to get to doctor's appointment when my mother cannot be her caretaker. So that's also important to me. And of course, our economic development question, right? So I would like Prince George's County to be the first choice where you live, you work, and you play, to be your first option. So I want to be able to bring economic development to this community where it provides us all options to have a quality of life. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Caroline Decaire-Goldin, and I do not have a degree in computer science. I'm running to be your Board of Education District 2 member, so thank you all so much for having me here tonight. It's been great to chat with you and just get some of your insights. I started my career here in Prince George's County as a second grade teacher in 2011 down in Mount Rainier, Thomas Stone Elementary. It's so much of what you were just speaking about. I have that experience as a teacher. I remember testing my students in mittens, and I remember testing my students when they were sweating in the classroom. Most of my students were first-generation multilingual learners, students with disabilities. Thomas Stone has a self-contained special education program. I love those kids. I love the families. The love that I was shown as a teacher is what kept me in education since I first set foot in that classroom. Leaving Prince George's County, I've spent the past 10 years fighting for educational equity in a variety of different levels. So I was a senior leader at a teacher preparation program focusing on preparing teachers to deliver culturally responsive anti-racist education and to equip school districts in the region with teachers that look like their students. I currently work at the DC State Education Agency, where I work on workforce development programs for teachers, teacher apprenticeships, grow your own models, school culture and climate initiatives, and a lot of data. In that role as a public servant, I am held accountable by the public daily, so this is not going to be new for me to have to answer to folks and to hold others accountable. I know what questions to ask, I know what to look for, because I've been in the classroom and I've been at other levels. So I've seen this in a wraparound way. What also draws me here is the sense of urgency I feel as a parent. I have a rising kindergartner. Like so many others, we were awaiting the lottery results that just were released today. And even in seeing the result that we got, which we were excited for, part of what is pushing me to run is I want every single family to feel so enthusiastic and confident in their neighborhood school. And in talking to so many friends, what we want, and neighbors and daycare parents, really what I believe parents, what I'm hearing from folks and what I know to be true is that we want great teachers in every classroom that are well prepared, that are going to stay. The county's made great strides in closing vacancies and addressing high demand subject areas, but now the question is, how do we keep those folks in those classrooms? Also, how do we address student safety and well-being? I've done that with social emotional learning implementation in DC, thinking about restorative practices and decreasing exclusionary discipline. So we need to continue to think about how we can make sure every student feels safe, like they belong at their school, because we know that positive learning environments where students feel safe and like they belong improves academic outcomes. We want to see that for all. And then finally, it's important to me that every single student is met where they are. That means, especially for our multilingual learner students and students with disabilities, and regardless of your race or your origin or the zip code you're in, that every student has access to a building where there's staff, curricula, and resources. If you're below grade level, you're going to have supports to meet grade level content. If you're ready to be pushed above that and experience accelerated content, your school's equipped to provide that to you too. So I do believe, I'm coming into this race with commitment, with experience, and with relationships. So I've heard from so many folks tonight the importance of being a responsive school board member, right? And one thing I'll say is just this last week, a neighbor said to me, I have a lot of questions about our tag program. I was like, you know what? I still have friends in the district. Let me see if I can get you a phone number or an email so you can reach out to them, and took care of that, right? So again, I'm really proud to be here. I love Prince George's County. I feel so proud to live in this district, to raise my children here, to establish my family here, and it all started by teaching in a classroom here. So today feels really full circle, and I'm excited to answer your questions.
Pat, we'll get the orange right. Pat will have some questions.
Hello.
Pretty heavy-duty questions from our people, and they fell into basically 4 different categories. So what I'm going to do is kind of read off one of the categories at a time, and then you can think about it. The county's facing a cost of living crisis. What specific measures will you champion to address the concern? With the county's budget shortfall and the blueprint for education weighing heavily on all of Maryland's counties, how would you work to ensure that the blueprint is implemented? The school systems have cut programs to balance the budget. If you could, when would you bring back those things that have been eliminated? What programs have been eliminated? Am I going too fast for you? Sorry about this. What would you do to balance the budget and fix the structural deficit? What would you cut off? If elected, how would you ensure the County Council School Board fully supports the implementation of the blueprint for Maryland's future? And what are the specific strategies for sustaining funding? That's the money one.
Thank you. I am going to address the question on the blueprint, which also will address the budget. Currently, I am serving as the Vice Chair Policy Council for Early Childhood Education at the Law Center. I served there for 1 year, and the directors recommended me. I did not ask for it. They recommended me to the state of Maryland, Early Childhood Education. And right now, while serving as the Vice Chair Policy Council, I am also on the state level. So I have a clear picture of the blueprint. Recently I went to the Annapolis, the state house, the Senate house, to advocate for some of the legislation that impact teachers and students. So I'm very, active in the community. One of the things is we have to define what a council member actually do. A council person, I will be honored to serve as your councilwoman. We oversee, we approve the bills, we vote on bills, we implement policies. We decide where your tax dollars go to. Now, to address that, one of the major things that my office is going to do if elected as the councilwoman, is to collectively, in collaboration, partner with the school board. But one of the things that we need to do is, if you are very active in Prince George's County, you see that there was a deficit that was cleared. Now the question is, what is being deprived to our students to clear the money? Where did we get that money to put to this place? So we can't keep taking from here to put here. So what we have to do is, we have to start looking into several initiatives. One is, housing affordability is very important. We have to minimize expenditures from the county level and start investing into the school. Because when I say schools, I'm talking about our children. So we have to eliminate extra expenditures. Another thing we can also do is, there is so much tremendous self-storages that is being built right here in Prince George's County. After the contractor stage, what benefits does a self-storage bring to us as residents? We have to take those money and invest in our children. And also, currently, I am a mentor with American Public University. This is actually my badge as a mentor. So I mentor students, I mentor children there. So for our blueprint, we have to take some of the money being invested in extra expenditures on the council level to invest in our school. And with my technology background, I am pushing for more programs that serve our children. More mentorship programs that keep our children out of the street. And that is how we can start to address this budget deficit that our school continue to have. And of course, as a school board, I have to work in partnership with them when it comes to budget.
So, I'm gonna stand for this one too. So, as the former director of the Office of Community Relations, I understand what a budget deficit is. I had to, for a couple years, operate with the deficit. Was asked many times to do more with less. I believe in collective impact. So that's nonprofit, for-profit, and government working together to resolve solution. And I brought that to my agency for many, many initiatives. For example, every year there was a program called Stuff a Truck, which fed thousands of residents, or really hundreds of residents, before I embarked on my journey as a director. So I brought that collective impact because what I understood is that government could not front the full bill. However, we had families in need of food and other items, for basic need items. And so I turned a program that served 300 people to serving 18,000 people. And I did that again through collective impact. And so I think that we have to bring more of that to government to resolve many of our issues. Currently, there is before I left, there was a budget deficit of $170 million. The budget is balanced every year, whether it's a $170 million deficit, whether it's a $130 million deficit. So $150 million was taken from the school system to help close that budget. I don't think that should have been necessarily the way, because programs were cut. Needed programs for our students, so emerging programs. As I mentioned, I have a 14-year-old, and he's multiracial. So he is Latino and Black. So my son speaks 2 languages. I know the importance of that. So cutting programs that really provide a true option, a different way of learning for our students, that's not something that we should really be in the business of doing, right? And so I think that there are other ways that we can look at reducing the budget deficit, and that is really looking at staffing as well, right? Maybe on the administrative side, looking at staffing, taking an audit to see what's necessary, how we can co-mingle some programs together to work for both students and, of course, our parents. The other thing is you asked about that we are having a hard time with, of course, affordability. That's one of the buzzwords. That's been around for a very long time. People have had difficulty, hardships with affording just a basic place to live. So we have to look at true place-making options for our community, more affordable housing for our families, so families want to move here, so they can be able to raise a family here at an affordable rate. So looking at what does that design look like for families that want to be here but don't feel squeezed and priced out, right? So looking at place-making options. Also, we have to get in a place where our tax structure changes. Right now, residents bear the burden, so it's a 70-30 kind of split. Residents pay about 70% of taxes, right? And our businesses pay about 30% of the taxes. We have to flip that. So we have to look at more ways to generate revenue, and so that it's not on the burden of our residents, of our people. And so looking at ways to bring in businesses, so that helps also to reduce the deficit. But they have to want to come here. They have to be attracted to the county to want to develop, to have their business here, right? And that what that then brings in more families, it brings in more resources. So I hope that has answered your question.
All right, I'm going to start, I'll stand up too. 1 second, sorry. Okay. I want to start broad and just share my perspective. As a school board member, I do see the role of school board as being integrated with our city council, county council. The economics are tied together, right? Great schools draw families in, families stay, and you know, conversations that I've had even as a resident of the school board District 2, looking down Route 1 and wondering like, oh, there's so many vacant spaces, and when are we going to fill those? Who's filling those, right? And those economic drivers and the way they play into one another, I think is part of us thinking also more broadly about how we're going to expand the pie, especially locally. So I think that's one thing that's on my mind is the broader advocacy between the school board and the city council, school board and county council to advocate with our legislature and really think about, you know, how we can push to ensure that Prince George's County is getting an equitable share of funding, that we're able to close, you know, the gaps that exist. And I think also gets a little bit wonky here, but really advocating and lobbying the state around some of the ways that formulas are even calculated that give the county certain revenue streams for students is something that we should be advocating for too, because I'm wondering how out of date some of those might be. And so that's just big picture, but I think also locally, specifically thinking about the blueprint and the budget shortfall. You know, the blueprint pillars matter to me because I've lived them, right? And the budget shortfall matters to me because I started teaching right after the 2008 crash. I remember fighting over printer paper, right? There wasn't enough printer paper in my building. I don't want schools to have to deal with that right now. I know the impact those small things have on teacher morale and student morale. But it would be disingenuous for me to say that, you know, we'll bring all programs back tomorrow. As soon as I'm elected, they're all in, right? Because what we have to do is we have to make data-informed decisions. We need to look at all the numbers, and we need to have conversations as a community, right? And I think that's the most important thing. I view this role as being a representative. I'm going to bring in my lens and my information as much as I can, but I want to hear from parents and families and community members. We're gonna have to make trade-offs, and we make trade-offs as individuals every single day. So what trade-offs can we live with our schools, right? But there are certain non-negotiables, and we do need to make sure that at a baseline, Our schools are funded so students have basic supplies, our heat is working, the air conditioning is working, our teachers are making competitive salary, especially compared to local districts. I know, working in DC, how attractive some salaries can be. A lot of my neighbors are teachers, not a lot of my neighbors teach in Prince George's County, and I want to change that, right? That's my perspective on, thinking about Blueprint and how I would approach addressing budget shortfalls in the future. But I do see this role as a very significant lobbying and advocacy position to work with my counterparts across different seats at city, council, and state government to really fight for the funding that PG deserves to right historical wrongs as well.
You keep answering my questions.
All right.
Right, I have to keep changing the questions I'm asking. Okay, we have a big change. Some people are asking about senior access to health care. They're asking about help with people who have disabilities. And are you willing to fund non-governmental organizations? What's something people are dealing with right now that you feel doesn't get enough attention? I'm putting those three together. See if it helps. So, whoever wants to answer, and what I'm going to ask is if you make your answers a little bit shorter. Okay?
All right,
You could use
sure.
that.
A little bit more specific and a little bit shorter.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Yeah, as she said, yes, I do work with seniors.
Sure that's
I do. Is it on? No. There we
There
go
you go.
now.
There you go.
All right.
Take this one.
I think it works. It's okay. We have it. Can you hear me now? All right, perfect. I do work with seniors on a daily basis. Again, providing workforce development opportunities for seniors all over the United States. And we have to really pay attention to the healthcare needs of our senior population. As I mentioned, I have a 93-year-old grandmother who I just visited last weekend. And I asked her, what's the secret to living long? Because I'm hoping one day that I'll get there too, right? And all she said to me was, do your best, right? And be good to other people. And so we had a good chuckle. But what I'm seeing now is that as she is aging in place and living on her own, the care is getting higher, right? The doctor appointments are getting more. And so being able to understand what she has access to, providing resources to the caregivers so that way they understand what the health plans are, is very, very important. Lobbying with our state officials on access and costs for our healthcare system, that is very important. That is what we'll start here. And as I mentioned before in my platform, I would like to make sure that we have affordable care for transportation, for getting our seniors to and from medical appointments, to and from grocery stores if needed. And so that is one thing that I would like to do. The disability community, or how about this, those who are differently abled. That is very, very important to me as well. As I said earlier, I have a son who is bilingual. I also have a son, he also learns differently. And I'm also able to share his story. He's okay with that. And so I want to make sure that there are resources for our community that differently abled, so that that way they have a shared experience with us as well. Everyone deserves a seat at the table. So there are community resources, centers for the differently able to visit, maybe day centers as well that we can definitely fund. And so that way it gives you opportunity to connect with others in the community, various programs for differently abled as well. And so another question was, would I fund non-government entities. I think that's absolutely a necessity to fund non-government entities. These are nonprofits that help to make the work a little easier. They have taken up causes. They are experts in many of the fields, and they're the ones who are boots on the ground to get the work done and not necessarily relying just on government. So I definitely would expand the funding that we do provide to our nonprofit partners. But again, it has to be a partnership, working hand in hand. The funding, the budget has to be transparent. The results have to be there, and we have to look at outcome-driven results in order for us to have a true and full partnership. So yes, I would again fund non-government entities. And the last question is, what are people dealing with right now? That is very, very important. And so I think one of the things that we're all dealing with, again, is the affordability of the place to be here. Going to the gas is different. A gas station now is very different for many people, right? It's up 92 cents, and that was just the other day. Maybe it might be up a little higher tomorrow. But being able, right, you already have a basic budget, but those basic needs, they're being driven up. Going to the grocery store, and you look in your bag and you only come out with 10 things, but you spend $100. So looking at the affordability of our basic needs, our basic necessities, we're all going through that. How are we going to budget? How are we going to make sure that our families have what they need? And that is what we're all going through. And it doesn't matter what household, but it's just the basic right to be and to live here. And so working with, whether it's nonprofit entities as well, to reduce some of that burden regarding costs, that will be something that I will be able to do as a county council member.
So I'll start with the first question, the healthcare. How many of you shop at the Maryland healthcare right now? How many of you shop through that website? Affordable Care Act.
I don't understand the question, what you're asking.
Yeah, so I wanted to I'm talking about the healthcare. So the Obamacare, which is the Affordable Care Act, that was implemented back in 2010. I was actually the brain and the lead infrastructure behind the Affordable Care Act. I helped our seniors. I actually literally, on the back end, helping seniors enroll in their health care insurance. Now, that brought me to what are we doing now to continue to service our seniors. Our seniors have paved the way for us. My mom, she's 76 years old. And right now, I remember when my mom, she used to cook, do a lot of things, and go from one place to the store. She no longer do those things like before. Now I have to take, good care of her. And that is the life of many residents here in District 4. And we have to continue to support them. Many of our seniors are teachers. Many of them are working in healthcare. Many of them are, pour into this community for us. So it's very important that if elected, myself elected as your councilwoman, I will prioritize our seniors because you have poured into us. The legacy we are walking into right now is your sweat. So it's very important that as your councilwoman, I will look into the transportation that transports the seniors from point A to point B. Very important. Another thing I will make sure, because I have a clear picture of how the healthcare system works. I was there, I implemented infrastructure. I know the right people. I work in partnership with CMS, which is the Center for Medicaid and Medicare. If you ask about Juliet and Agocha, oh yeah, they will tell you. So those policies you see when it comes to healthcare, are they implemented? So when I assume that office as your councilwoman, I know what to do the first day of work. I have the experience. I know the entities to partner with to say, this is the program I want to bring to District 4 resident. And that takes only email, meetings, partnership, and collaboration, because my office will be more than happy to work with them. The second question was the non-governmental funder. As your councilwoman, I will support non-governmental funding. And I will hold them accountable for their share. If they have a big bonus and big paycheck, they should be paying the taxes too. Because I'm not going to distribute that responsibility to your bills. So I will hold them accountable while partnering with them. Because it's very important when we are transparent. It's very important when we hold leaders and those contractors accountable. And another thing my office will do as your councilwoman, renegotiation of contract. People take things serious when they know they have a competitor. So we need to renegotiate some of those contracts so we can bring more money to Prince George's County. And the last question is what people are dealing currently. Cost of living. It's very expensive. I have 3 kids. I will tell you that $600 no longer, $600 grocery no longer serve me and my children for up to 2 weeks. We need to work collectively and look into the cost of living here. And as your councilwoman, I will work with any office I need to work. And there is something I'm going to implement. The first to be done on the council level. I'm going to give you transparency. Very important. Every bills that got to be passed on the council level, my office will send you an overview, monthly overview, for you to know the council who voted on it and who did a yay or a nay. So we can start looking into who is passing the wrong bills for District 4 residents.
That's right.
I will work for you. I have done it with World Bank. I have done it with Affordable Care Act. I have done it with USBS. I was the only female on the team. Organizations hire me to put processes, policies, and initiatives in place. I will be more than happy to do it for my District 4 residents.
You're welcome. I'm going to be asking, not this time. because
Okay.
we'll be on
All right.
But for the next questions, please make them quick answers.
So I think speaking to something people are going through that you might not know about, I can speak on that topic because it's near and dear to my heart. One thing is, especially having a rising kindergartner, what has been coming up for me over this last year was our daycare building was shuttered. The federal government released the lease on that building, and we tried to advocate to keep that facility. It was a very high quality daycare center. And so I think even though it's outside of the specific scope of the K-12 system that we're talking about, we still have to think about the broader educational ecosystem. And so for all the daycare parents out there, the parents of kids who are 4 and 3 and are looking for quality daycare options, we know that quality daycare options lead to being ready to read books and knowing your letters and having numeracy skills by the time you enter kindergarten, right? So when our students are taking their kindergarten readiness test, the quality of their daycare and pre-K matters for that. And that's an equity concern across the district. And so one thing that came up to me as going through this as a parent was, why aren't all my, school board members and my city council members across all these regions and Riverdale, Hyattsville, everywhere. Why are we not coming together to do like a tour, right, of these daycares and talk about the alignment between what some of these students are learning and what they'll need to know to enter Prince George's County kindergarten classrooms. And so I think we can do a little bit more there. I think that might allay some fears that some folks had. I feel really lucky that because I know the district and have worked in it, I feel confident when I champion it to folks. But I think if people could get a little bit more support in those early years to feel that connection to the county outside of just the pre-K Head Start type programs run by the county, then I think that would reap benefits for us.
Thank you.
Now I'm going to ask you, is it working? Okay, I'm going to ask you, please make your answers a lot shorter.
I'm going to time
We'll
everything.
do.
Thank you.
You're going to time up? Okay.
Does that work for you?
Okay, this question is a question of safety. People are concerned about, especially our brown and black brothers and sisters, and ICE, and all of the other things that are going on these days that are very frightening to all of your potential constituents. And I'd like you to answer what you think about this, how you think that we can keep people safe, and especially our children.
Oh, yes.
She's timing you.
Oh, yes, all right. Okay. What I think about this, unequivocally, I think it is wrong to disappear people off of our streets. I, looked at the photos of a 5-year-old in Minneapolis that was taken from his family and saw my own daughter's face. And I can't imagine the fear that his family felt. I've read other stories of 14-year-olds, 17-year-olds being stopped on the way to school. And I saw also the faces of my students and their families. I know that teaching in this county, not far from where we are today, we were very aware and sensitive to when there were certain groups of government agencies that were knocking on doors or doing patrols. And so unequivocally, again, as I said earlier, kids can't learn if they don't feel safe. And so there's an existential threat that our Latino students are facing right now, and that's real. And I know that the school board has been working on a policy so that schools understand where they have to comply and where they don't, and trying to limit access to students. And so, of course, as strongly as we can be in that, I support that. But then I also think, within our locus of control at a individual school level, we also need to think about how are we ensuring students know that they belong and feel safe in the buildings. And that's where the trauma-informed practices come in. That's where making sure that our school buildings are staffed with teachers and staff who look like our students, who represent our students. And if they don't, that they know the history of our students and can see their background and their language diversity and their racial and ethnic diversity as assets. And help them see their story and their history in positive light, so they know that, they can, that they're supported to persevere through this moment through community. And so I think, and then the other piece is around any other, I know that there's also violence that students are experiencing in schools, centering student voice, talking to them, and thinking about also how we elevate what students think would benefit them and what their families think to address those school-based violence issues that may be outside of immigration is a strategy that I would use. Good.
It's not a school board member's job.
I'm sorry?
No, we're not asking questions of them yet, unless they're here.
There wasn't a question.
Don't let her talk.
1 in 4 of our neighbors were born outside of the United States. And that's not a statistics. That's our neighbors, our school board presidents, our PTAs, our small businesses. And so when roving agents from ICE come into our neighborhood, it traumatizes neighborhoods. It spreads fear throughout. Families stay home. People are not at peace. I do believe in transparency. I believe that if federal agents come to Prince George's County, they should be unmasked. They should wear protective body cameras as well. They should be identifiable. And the Fourth Amendment is very clear. No one should enter your home without a judicial warrant. And so we have to make sure that we are protecting our citizens. They understand what their rights are, right? This is about dignity, it's about safety, it's about the rights of people who call Prince George's County home. And so as a county council member, I understand that that is not my role and responsibility necessarily, but as an advocate, yes, it is for District 4 residents to ensure that all community members know what their rights are, know how to also to advocate for themselves, know where the proper resources are to utilize if they need help, and those support systems are in our schools, right? Hopefully they're in our faith-based communities, and also they're with nonprofits who deliver those particular services for immigrants who need that support.
When it comes to immigration and ICE, that impacts me directly. I am an immigrant, and currently I am serving as the Vice Chair Policy Council for Early Childhood Education for the Laurel Center, and as well as the state of Maryland. So I see what families are going through. One of the schools that I oversee in Laurel, I will mention the name for safety purposes, they actually called me that ICE was on the parking lot. They took the man, a man who came in the morning to do early morning school drop-off. The child was 4 years old, and the school called me. They placed a call because as the vice chair, I'm very active in the community. I have to make sure that I see what is happening. I went there. The thing is, if you look at the policy governing ICE, there is no specific law for them. And we can take this offline, but they made it so ridiculous. This current government made it so ridiculous that you can't hold them accountable. Now, but what can we do? What can I, as your councilwoman, or your vote, what I have already been doing, because I'm already doing it. One thing I did for parents, most of these parents, the Latinos, immigrants, they don't even know their right. They don't know. The first thing I did was I partnered with an immigration office in Laurel. I provided parents free workshop on their right as an immigrant. What you are supposed to say, what you are not supposed to say. I did that. Because it's very important that we stop looking at papers and be practical. Because as a councilwoman, our work, my work, will be practical for you. So I provided that workshop for families, educating them on their rights. And another thing is, as your councilwoman, I will march to Annapolis for advocacy, speaking for you. Because when you elect me in this office, I will become a voice for you. I will be speaking for you. What matters to you matters to me. When they come for your grandchild, they come for mine.
Thank you. That's fine. Thank you.
And thank you so much.
Okay, we're going to make a big switch. Are you in support of not closing BARC and Goddard Space Flight Center as the current administration wishes to do? And I'm going to throw in another one that's tough, and you can answer either or both. Either or. Would you have supported the construction of the proposed MAGLEV?
The what?
Proposed MAGLEV.
Oh, MAGLEV.
Okay, either or. MAGLEV. Okay? Whoever, either or question for 2 minutes.
Sure. I'll go with the first one. So I'll go with the first one. Can you hear me? Yes. You can hear me now. All right. I'll go with the first one. I am not in support of closing the BARC Center. I do support in keeping it open And as your county council member, I would advocate for additional funding to go to that project. So I am in support of keeping the center open. Thank you.
All right, so I think my answer to this question will give you a little bit of insight into how I would handle things as your school board member. So these are two areas where I would like to do some more research and talk to some more folks about the impact of the closures and better understand concerns based on different neighborhoods. I have my own personal bias based on my experience, as I mentioned, with my daycare closing, but with this specific center, I would want to better understand how my constituents feel. So I would host some roundtables, chat with you all. I'm accessible via email. So right now I look forward to looking deeper into this specific issue and would make an informed decision after I do talk to folks that are most closely connected to it.
I will quickly address both. When it comes to the proposed MAGLEV, it's about, well, you look at, I'm excited for economic development, don't get me wrong. I love when new things are coming. I love it because it brings job to Prince George's County. It brings job to the youth and, you know, every one of us. I'm excited. However, the risk. That is one thing some of people are not discussing with us. I want to look, as your councilwoman, I will reveal every policy that is surrounding that establishment. I want to see the impact on your life. I want to see the health risk. I want to see the environmental risk. I want to see a lot of data that will inform me of my decision. It's not something I can just immediately, because it sounds good on paper, it has to actually sound good on your lives. As I said, as your councilwoman, you put me there so that I can speak for you. And I have a successful track record of speaking for families. So I will trade with caution on that. Another thing is about the NASA, because the closures, I don't like to see things leave Prince George's County. I actually love to see things coming from Prince George's County. And for that reason as well, I would love to hear from the residents first before making a decision, either to vote on a bill that closes that or to vote against it. Every decision I will be making has to be your priorities, how you feel, what you want. This office is not for me, it's for you, because I become an advocate for you.
The last question? Oh, it's getting late? I'll put questions, all right. People. Either or both. What plans will you have to expand recreation activities in the district? And how are we going to handle a shortage of educators? How will we attract them? I have a lot more questions, but that's as far as I can go. It's getting late.
All right, so as I named earlier, the recruitment and retention of highly effective educators is of critical importance to me as a teacher and in the work that I do right now. So I'm a big proponent. I know there's been a lot of funding recently released for grow your own models and teacher apprenticeship programs. I built one out in DC. It's a cost-free program that draws from a local talent pool. And I do think that these apprenticeship and residency models where teachers get to learn in the classroom over the course of a year or a few years is the right way to make sure that someone is, one, committed to the classroom and will stay, and two, that they learn what it takes to be effective from the very first day that they're in that classroom by themselves leading instruction. I also know that quality professional development, so science of reading and making sure that students are prepared to read and know how to read well, that we can teach all students math, ensuring that there's professional development opportunities so every teacher feels confident when they walk in the classroom. Every year, your students are different. There's no 2 years when your classroom composition is the same. You're always testing out new skills. You need new strategies for behavior management or for how to reach your students, how to scaffold to make sure every kid can access your content. And by making sure the district is providing that professional development for teachers, that will ensure their confidence to stay and be retained. The other piece I spoke about is that competitive compensation piece. So really advocating with my peers at all levels of government to make sure that our district has adequate funding to make sure that we can remain competitive. I think that that's one of the biggest things that is on my mind. And I've seen the dividends it can pay from a recruitment standpoint, and then addressing those high demand vacancies. It's a little bit on the boring side, but data transparency is the best way to make sure that we are making gains and closing gaps. I was glad to see the county release their most recent data dashboard on vacancies and retention, and want to hold them accountable for reporting on more metrics so we can monitor them.
You can chat out. Okay. It's on, all right. When I was in graduate school, University of Baltimore, I taught for 1 semester as an algebra teacher. It's a hard job, right? Very hard job. I am not in that profession now. But I know that to keep or retain, attract new teachers, dedicated, committed teachers, you need fair pay, you need program incentives, housing incentives. Teachers should be able to live where they work. If they're priced out, then they're not going to want to come here. So fair pay, housing incentives, professional development. Also, I'm a programmer by nature, not just computer science, right? But programming, community programming. When my son was 1, I left United Way, National Capital Area, because I wanted to dedicate some time to him. And I still wanted to work. So I wrote a program called the Health and Arts Learning Hub in Prince George's County. It has been in Prince George's County for 12 years. That's something I do silently. It's in schools. It's a free program. That is how I'm able to bring recreational activities back to students, enrichment activities. It's funded by the Maryland State Department of Education. That program operates at Edward Fellergy, Overlook Elementary, is operated at Longfields, North Forestville. It's a free service to our to our parents, to our students. I'm talking about enrichment activities, educational activities. So one way to bring those recreational activities back to students is to put it in schools. So this program, it allows students to stay extra. It provides them with meals, the activities. Parents, they have 3 to 4 hours now that they are able to stay at work, don't have to worry about getting off, and then their children are in a safe environment. That program has generated more than $5 to $6 million over its lifetime, and it's free. So that's so many different ways to bring those recreational activities back to our students.
One of the things as your councilwoman to address the first question is the teachers. One of the things I did recently was, this was in February, I went to Annapolis at the State House. Talking is cheap. I'm result driven. I love to do practical things. It's one thing to talk about everything, but it's another thing to do it. So I love to do things practical so that I give you informed information. And it's very important that you have someone who is already in the community. I went to the Annapolis, that was, it's actually on my phone. I went to Annapolis because I'm tracking some of the House bills that is getting passed for 2026. Those are the places that these decisions are made. We have to understand our job as a councilwoman. There's one thing about this debate, and I'm so happy that I'm here, is when you know your duties, you know your limitations. So one of the things I did was, I went to Annapolis because I'm tracking several bills that is being passed on Senate and on the state level. I went there for advocacy because you have to testify for these bills for it to go forward. If they don't pass it, it's dead on arrival. And we are on the county just talking, no action. So I have to dedicate my time, travel down to Annapolis. One of the bills was the bill there how to mandate teachers to get certification while they are still working. So they don't have to quit their job. They can still be teaching while getting certification. When we equipped our teachers, they find that that job is no longer a job. It becomes a hobby. That's one of the things I would do. Make sure that I go practical leadership, active leadership. Make sure that I vote a yea or nay where it matters so that those bills will go forward. And I went to Annapolis to make sure that happened. And I'm tracking several of them.
Thank you.
And as well as, thank you so much.
We want to thank these three wonderful women for being with us, answering our questions. I have a lot more questions.
Please.
I'm sorry I couldn't ask all of them. But thank you for your wisdom, and thank you for the energy to run. And for being strong women and strong advocates.
Women's History Month. There we go.
All right, well, thank you again. We will move on to the business portion of our meeting. Again, thank you to the candidates. You all are welcome to stay, but there's certainly nothing too glamorous happening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.